Now, a few weeks ago, I predicted who I thought would get promoted to the Premier League, who would finish in the playoff places, but we haven't yet predicted who we think is going to get relegated, and the reason for that is, quite honestly, there's still about 20 teams who could go down. That's obviously an exaggeration, but there's still plenty of teams who are in for a chance of getting relegated to League One, and it's very, very difficult to predict that game by game, team by team. So what I've done instead is I've predicted the whole league table. I've went on worldfootball.net and I've predicted every single result individually for every single side in the next 5 game weeks between now and the end of the season, and then calculated to see what the league table looks like once all them results have been submitted. So I've not went from team to team. I've not pushed for a certain team to get a certain result. I've just went through all the games chronologically and seen what the table has thrown up. So let's have a look at which teams have gone down in my predictions, which teams have stayed up, which ones have made the top 6, and most importantly, which 2 are going up. So we'll firstly reveal the teams who are basically finishing in mid-table mediocrity this season. And there's no surprise, we're going to go from 8th down to 17th here, because for me, there's only really Coventry, Boro and Bristol City in with a realistic chance of playoffs at time of recording, that is. And in my league table, at least, the way it is finished, there is still 6 teams, roughly, who were right in the relegation battle until the very end. But between 8th and 17th, everyone else was pretty much safe in mid-table. And you can see them teams now. So the likes of West Brom, Millwall, Norwich, Sheffield Wednesday, Watford never quite had enough to get anywhere near the playoffs. In the end, they fell slightly short. Down towards the bottom end of the table, I have got Blackburn dropping into the bottom half of the Championship. And if there's any Pompey or Derby fans worried, rejoice, because I've got both of them teams staying up. But by how many points, you'll have to wait and see in a bit. But they're both 16th, 17th, with QPR in 18th place. So let's look at the bottom 6 and see who I've got going down. So bottom, you won't be surprised to see we've got Plymouth Argyle. I predicted them to end up finishing on 38 points. I didn't predict them to win any of their final 5 games. They lost at home to Sheffield United, lost at Boro, drew at home to Coventry, lost at home to Preston, and lost at home to Leeds. So only a point in Plymouth's final 5 games for me, meaning they've gone down with a bit of a whimper on 38 points. But joining them just above in 23rd, 3 points from safety, I've got the team surviving on 47 points. Cardiff are 23rd. They will go down by 3 points. And in their final 5, I haven't got them winning any of their remaining games either. I've got them drawing at home to Stoke City, losing against Sheffield United, drawing at home to Oxford, losing at home to West Brom, and losing at Norwich. They've got quite a tough run, to be honest, Cardiff. I don't fancy them against anyone other than Oxford and Stoke, and I've got them drawing in both of them games, so I haven't quite predicted them to win. They might need a win to stay up in that final 5, but the results I've predicted, I've got Cardiff getting relegated with only 44 points. And the final team to get relegated in my bottom 6, it's Luton Town. So the bottom 3 is going to stay the bottom 3 for me, albeit Luton have jumped Cardiff, and Luton have gotten relegated in my predicted league table, but only by a single point. They fall just below the dotted line by a single solitary point. And in their final 5, I predicted them to win at home to Blackburn, but then lose away at Derby. They'll draw at Bristol City and Coventry, so they've got 2 big home games against 2 playoff chasers there. Before drawing away to West Brom on the final day, I just fancy them when they desperately need a result on the final day, just not getting quite enough. And that is why Luton Town will get relegated back-to-back and fall just below the dotted line and join Cardiff and Plymouth in League One. So the other teams then, just outside the drop zone, just surviving, as you can see, I've got Oxford United. They finished just 1 point outside of the relegation zone in the end. They didn't pick up too many points in my final 5 games, but I did have them getting a point at Cardiff and getting a draw at home to Sunderland. Hull City are only just above them as well. They've only just survived by a single point, with Stoke surviving by 2. Then there is a decent gap between QPR, Derby and Pompey, but that's how my predictions have the bottom 6. Looking at the playoffs then, obviously, as I say, I've pretty much went up to 8th and I've thought West Brom aren't going to quite have enough. It is between Bristol City, Boro and Coventry. And again, I predicted these games chronologically, in no specific order whatsoever. And I've got this. So in 7th, just falling short of the playoffs on goal difference. That's right, goal difference. They did hit 70 points, but it wasn't quite enough. I've got Bristol City. And again, I didn't predict these in any specific order. They were chronologically done. And I've got Bristol City drawing quite a few games. And they've got a tough run in, to be fair. They've got to go to QPR. I've got them getting a point there. They've got home games to Sunderland, which I think is quite a tough one. So I've got them drawing at home to Sunderland. I've got them also going away to Luton Town, which won't be an easy game, given they're fighting for their lives. I've got them drawing there as well. They've then got a really tough trip to Ellen Road in the penultimate week of the season. But I have got Bristol City picking up a point there as well before they do pick up a win on the final day against Preston. Maybe it is a little bit unrealistic for Bristol City to draw that many games in their final 5, but quite honestly, I think Leeds, Sunderland, they're 2 very tough games in their final 5. I also don't think trips to Luton and or QPR will be easy either, but that's got Bristol City just falling short by goal difference, because slipping in to the playoffs on goal difference alone in 6th is Boro. Boro will just squeak through with 70 points, and these are the final 5 results I've got for Boro. So I've got us winning away to Millwall at the weekend before then beating Plymouth at home, likely probably relegating Plymouth there. I've got us picking up a point away to Sheffield Wednesday. I think that will be a tough game. I think we'll beat Norwich in our final home game of the season before losing to Coventry on the final day. That will just have Boro enough to stay ahead of Bristol City on goal difference, as I say. And of course, if you haven't noticed, that means that I have got Coventry City finishing in 5th, and a very good finish to the season. I have Coventry. They're going to finish 3 points inside the top 6 on 73 points. And they're going to go unbeaten for me between now and the end of the season. I've got them winning away to Hull, because Hull's home form is the worst in the league. A win at home to West Brom, which I think will pretty much eliminate them from the playoff race. A draw away to Plymouth, because I think if they're still fighting for their lives, that could be a potentially tough trip down there. A draw away to Luton for a similar reason. A team fighting for their lives. And then, of course, I've got them beating Boro on the final day, because Coventry always beat Boro, especially at the CBS. So that's how the playoff pack will finish. Pretty comfortable with Coventry. With Boro or Bristol City, it could be the flip of a coin. And then finally, on to the automatic promotion places. This is the business end, the big stuff. And again, I predicted all of these games in chronological order, not going one team at a time. And 2 teams got promoted on 98 points, and 1 missed out on 96, which is cruel. And I think maybe I might have gone too high on the 3 of them, given the fact they're all dropping points willy-nilly at the moment. But honestly, we've all got very winnable games between now and the end of the season. But the team I've predicted, via the fixtures and the results I submitted, to finish 2 points short in 3rd is Sheffield United. They will just fall short. I think actually every single one of the teams, and again, I didn't predict this in a specific way, it's only come out of this once I've looked back at my predictions. I've got them all picking up the same number of points between now and the end of the season. They've all, each one of the 3, I've got to win 4 and draw 1, and that's why the top 3's pretty much stayed as it is. I've got Sheffield United winning away at Plymouth, beating Cardiff at home, but the points they're going to drop, as you've probably guessed, are away to Burnley, to which I've got that game being a draw. They'll win at Stoke and beat Blackburn at home, so I think Sheffield United will pick up maximum points, barring the Burnley trip, because if I'm absolutely honest, the other 4 games they've got are absolutely piss easy, to be honest. There's either teams like Blackburn who are bang out of form and in free fall, the other 3 are all down towards the bottom end of the table, and Sheffield United should have more and enough to beat all of them. So the only place they'll drop points is at Burnley, but that's not going to be enough, because in 2nd, with 98 points, I have got the Clarets. They are going to get automatically promoted, and as I say, in a similar manner to Burnley, I've got them picking up wins everywhere else other than at home to Sheffield United, but that point will be decisive in them finishing ahead of the Blades. I've got Burnley beating Norwich at home. I've also got them winning away at Watford. As I mentioned, a draw at home to Sheffield United before winning away to QPR and at home to Millwall. That will just edge Burnley over the line, which means, of course, my champions on goal difference with 98 points also is Leeds United. And again, I've got them winning 4 from 5, and a bit like Sheffield United, the 4 games I've got them winning, they should walk all 4. The only one they'll draw is the only tough one. I've got them winning at home to Preston. I back Leeds to win every single home game they'll have between now and the end of the season. It's only the away trips where they might struggle. They've got to go to Oxford, but they should win there. I've got them to win there, as well as a win at home to Stoke. Again, Leeds at home are imperious. Their only drop points will come against Bristol City, as I mentioned earlier in the video, before going to Plymouth on the final day. Plymouth will already be down, I think, by this point, so Leeds will be the ones with something to fight for. They'll win at Plymouth to guarantee automatic promotion and the championship title. So that's my predicted league table, predicting every single result between now and the end of the season. So let me know what you think of where I've got your team finishing between now and then. Chances are, because this is going up on Friday, all of this will probably be deemed absolutely useless by the end of the weekend. But either way, it was a good bit of fun. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. And this is my way of predicting who I think will go down by literally predicting every result. It's the most accurate way of doing it, right? But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe for much more content. We'll be doing a lot more championship content, I think, once the season is done. I'm trying to focus heavily on Boro at the minute and our running, but there will be a lot of championship content to come once the season has come to an end, of course, then heading into the playoffs as well. But until next time, guys, enjoy your weekend, take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.